All right, today we're very excited to have Arthur from Arthur's Cruises on with us to talk to us about Australian cruises. You may know Arthur from Arthur's Cruises on YouTube or on Instagram. He has some beautiful photography on his Instagram site, his Instagram page, Arthur's Cruises and Travel. And I'll put the links down below so you can check them out for yourselves if you haven't seen either his YouTube channel or his Instagram channel, because they both are awesome. So we have a bunch of questions for Arthur. And first of all, I just want to thank you for being with us. Our first guest on our live YouTube episodes. We appreciate that.
G'day, everybody.
Yes. Joy, you want to ask the first question?
I do.
All right.
Okay. First question. What cruise line sail from Australia?
Right. Here in Australia, we've got the major cruise lines that come through here. We've got Royal Caribbean, Princess, Carnival, P&O Australia, and we've got some of the smaller ones like Seven Seas Regent and Viking, and also Celebrity as well. We have only got NCL only have one ship through here at the moment, but they're looking at bringing some more in. So, yeah, those are the big ones that we have here.
Wow.
Okay. Does one in particular dominate? Is Royal Caribbean?
It's
that's what I see most.
Yeah, it's Royal Caribbean and Princess are the two big ones here. Royal Caribbean brings some of their big ships down here, like Ovation of the Seas and Quantum of the Seas, Voyager class ships and Radiance class ships as well. Quite often there's about 5 different cruise ships from Royal Caribbean that come here. Princess did have smaller ships, but they were starting to bring in some of the bigger ships like Sky and Ruby, and one of the other new ones, which has just been completed, forgotten the name of it for the moment, but yeah, one of the bigger ships are coming in here.
Nice. Sounds like quite a bit of variety.
Wow. Good variety.
Yeah. So let me ask you about if you could give us kind of an example. I know there's probably a ton of them, but an example of what a typical or a popular, common, I don't know how to say it, but an itinerary for an Australian cruise. What would somebody expect would be an Australian cruise that you might take? What ports, you know?
Yeah, here in Australia, most of the cruises leave from Sydney Harbour. And that's, if you haven't been to Australia and you go to Sydney Harbour, and it's an amazing harbour to leave from. I mean, you got Sydney Harbour Bridge on one side, and you got the Sydney Opera House on the other side, where the ship docks at the Overseas Passenger Terminal. And it's amazing when the ship leaves, it like reverses back, so you get a beautiful view, and it goes out the harbour, and it's an amazing view. Generally, that's where they most leave from. There are other smaller, not smaller ports, but different other ports like Brisbane, Melbourne, Adelaide, and Perth. And generally, the itineraries are mostly to the South Pacific and New Zealand. But once the cruising season finishes, which starts in roughly October to April, that's our cruising season because of the weather and the difficulty to come here. Like I said, it goes from the South Pacific, which includes like New Caledonia, Vanuatu, Fiji, and stuff like that. And New Zealand is pretty much like it just leaves from Sydney, goes all the way around New Zealand and stops at all the big places there and comes back to Sydney. There are smaller type cruises which do from the local capitals, say like Brisbane, which go up to the Great Barrier Reef. Here in Adelaide, we got a lot which do to Kangaroo Island and a couple other places around Adelaide and the state of South Australia. There's some which do Perth as well, and some which do all around Australia, which we were booked on doing last year, but that got cancelled. And but majority of them from Sydney to the South Pacific or New Zealand.
Wow.
And when we were talking before, you were saying that because of the geography of that area of the world, unless you're going on a much longer itinerary, there's not, you're kind of limited to those places that you've named, right?
Yes, because, as you said, the geography, and it takes that time to get there. Typically, you have most of the cruise itineraries around about 10 to 11 days. Cruise itinerary, so it takes you 2 days to get to wherever you have to go. Say if you're doing a New Zealand cruise, it takes 2 days to cross the Tasman, and then there's a day where they hug the coast and go into the different sounds there before you dock. So there's a lot of sea days here in Australia for the Australian cruises, and that's great because you get to enjoy the ship totally.
Right.
You could do whatever you want, from sitting back, relaxing, drink, people watching, enjoying the wonderful food that's on board, to taking in the wonderful shows that are available.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
I suppose that's a good reason for cruise lines like Royal Caribbean have those larger ships there that have a lot of activities and places to go to on the ships, since you have so many sea days. So did you want to ask another question?
So I have another question for you.
Go ahead.
What are popular excursions in the ports you mentioned?
Oh, you could do anything from, action adventure type stuff to walking around the cities. The best one I like to do is a bit of the history type ones. I like to go around and visit different areas. Like in New Zealand, we booked in Auckland. We stopped in Auckland, which is the biggest city in New Zealand, not Wellington. Wellington's the capital. I got corrected that the other time. But what we did was we did a shore excursion to the Sky Tower, which is the biggest building in the Southern Hemisphere, if I'm not correct. And it's got an awesome observation deck, which you can actually see the cruise ship from. Like, it's
nice.
That's
awesome.
So cool.
Like, you can actually see it. And it was good to go and see something like a landmark like that. But then afterwards, we were driven around different parts of Auckland, and we saw the history of Auckland and all that type of stuff. I really like that type of stuff. I don't mind doing the action adventure stuff, but it has to be the right thing. Like snorkeling, for example. I like to do snorkeling when I do South Pacific cruises. With the South Pacific cruises, again, same thing. You can do the history type things or the action adventure ones. One of the most popular ones for the South Pacific is when you go to Vanuatu. There's a place called Turtle Bay or Turtle Beach Bay, and it's really beautiful there. So a lot of people go there to, have a nice sunny day on the beach there.
Are there turtles there?
Yes, there is. If you do snorkeling, there's lots of turtles in there. We didn't do it. We did a local tour, so we got off the boat and just asked one of the locals if they can take us around for 3 or 4 hours, and they take you around the whole place, go visit the locals, and then they take you to obviously go do some shopping and stuff like that, which is not too bad. Duty free, as we call it here, is quite very good. Australians love their duty free.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like there's some commonalities with cruises you might take from the United States to the Caribbean or Bahamas, but it sounds like there's also a lot of natural and historical type of excursions that you could do in that part of the world that obviously you couldn't do here.
Right.
So it sounds just beautiful. And you can go out and look for the turtle from Finding Nemo. Was it Crash?
Oh, Crash.
Yes.
I think it's Crash. I'm not sure.
That's not an official question. But, okay, that sounds like.
But it's great, like because of the itineraries, how they are. Some 10 days, and you do like one stop. You do what you got to do. You have your shore excursions and go enjoy it, and then the next day you're talking with family and friends, or people that you met on board about. Oh, this is what I did and stuff like that. So you get to really appreciate it with other cruises as well. So, you know, that's what the whole thing that makes Australian cruises really good, because you get that whole interaction, and it's catered towards so many different people. So
That is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Now, do you know, do they ever do, since it takes so long to get to some of these ports, do they ever have you noticed if they have itineraries where they'll actually stay in a port overnight, so it's kind of like a 2-day port stop?
depending on the type of itinerary the actual cruises do have. I know with some of the smaller cruises, they do overnight ones, but it also depends on the port, because
Right.
the port here in South Australia, the cruises which come to Adelaide, depending on the tidal, they might have to stay overnight,
No.
or
Yeah.
they'll have a very short stay. Like there's been some which they've come at 6 o'clock in the morning and they left by 11 because of the tides.
Wow.
It really depends on the port and what they're trying to do. Like I said, here in Adelaide, and that's great because I can go down there and see the ship at night time, which is awesome to see. So very little that they do overnight stays, but then when they do, it's because of either it has to do with the tidal or the actual itinerary has been said that they are going to do it.
Sure.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So now I'm sitting here assuming that I know what you mean when you're talking about the tides, but are you talking about high tide, low tide, that
Yes.
sort of thing? Okay.
Oh.
Yes.
So
Yes.
navigating
Yes.
in and out of the ports, the
Yeah.
tide. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what it has to do with. Yeah,
Okay.
because sometimes it can be not treacherous, but they need to have a proper guidance out rather than go out by yourself. And I think it's also partly it has to come down to the maritime law and the way that things are structured as well.
Mhm.
So
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of unique too.
Yeah.
So we've talked about some of the activities you can do off the ship, and you've talked a little bit about when you get back on the ship for a sea day, but we wanted to ask you about if there's any onboard experiences on a cruise out of Australia that make it unique to an Australian cruise.
Oh, definitely. For Australia, and depending on days, like the best part about doing cruising in Australia in the cruising season, you get to do cruises like, say, Christmas, New Year's, Halloween, for example, Australia Day. That's quite a popular cruise because they deck the whole ship up with Australiana type memorabilia and all that type of stuff, and that's really good. We've done a cruise when it was on Remembrance Day, which is November 11th for Australia, and that was really good because they had a good setup for that. And not only that, the day that we went in was a port day, so we were able to go to a ceremony that was celebrating a Remembrance Day. And that's really unique because we get to do things that celebrate Australia as a whole. For example, Anzac Day, which is a very sacred day here in Australia. It commemorates World War One, the Battle of Gallipoli, and they'll quite often have a dawn service on board the ship, and that's very, very, very popular with a lot of Australians. And I think that's what makes Australians go, oh, wow, I want to do these cruises, because the cruise line takes that step to recognise those special events and incorporate it into it. So Australians feel very included in part of it, and rather than, you go and have your own little fun and stuff like that.
Right.
With Royal Caribbean, they've got so much to do. Like that's what we like about Royal Caribbean. It's a multi-generational cruise ship for your families. We quite often have my mother-in-law and father-in-law come along with us, so they can go and do their own thing. We as adults, can go and have a few drinks. The kids can go to the daycare type thing, and that's amazing because they are so well entertained. And you hear this constantly where parents say, oh, the kids don't want to leave. It's true. They don't want to leave. Or they ask, can I go to, the childcare centre for a couple of hours, because they meet new friends. They get to do a bit of things. There's so many wonderful shows, especially with Royal Caribbean. They put on some really good stage shows and musicals. We really love those. The food is awesome on the ships. Absolutely amazing, you know. Our best ever steak that we have ever had was on Chops Grill on Voyage of the Seas. And on that day, it was amazing because it was surf and turf. So we had a lobster tail and a steak, and we got a drink. And I think we only paid $35 for it, which was pretty cheap compared to here in Australia. So it was a full 3-course meal, absolutely beautiful. And, you know, we were so stuffed that we rolled out of there and straight to a ice skating show, which was fantastic. Nice. It was amazing to see. Like, where else can you this is what I keep on saying to people is like, where else can you go and have a beautiful meal, then go watch an amazing show in the middle of the South Pacific?
Yeah, it's so convenient, and it's such a beautiful location, and the next day you may be in a whole new port, and just to be able to walk from an amazing steakhouse to go back to the room to change if you want, or just go in straight to a show, or to go if you're into the casino thing, go to the casino. Yeah, it's really amazing, and I think we may have talked about this last time we talked, Arthur. I think when people say that they haven't been on a cruise, they say, "Oh, it seems boring. I don't think there'd be anything I'd want to do on there." It amazes me that people still say that. You know, so much.
There's so much to do. Like, you know, you get your cruise compass every day, and you look through it, and you know, you're like, "Oh, I want to do this, or I do this," or like, you know, one cruise that we did a Cape Cup decorating course, and that was great. Fun. It was fun. It was so much fun to do that, and you really enjoyed it. You know, the people come out, the chefs come out, they show you how to do it. It was great fun. Like, we really, really, really enjoyed it. You know, you could do cocktail classes. I'm a bit of a whiskey, I like to call whiskey snob, and it's great to do the whiskey tasting courses and cognac courses. That was I really enjoyed that one because we got very much value for our money out of that compared to, you know, the other ones that we've done. But yeah, there's so much to do every day. There's something different, you know. It's really great. And you know, and then for me, for our family, anticipation is formal night, because you know you're looking forward to it. You know, you've already got your formal gear with you, and you dress up, and you get your photo taken, and you go and have a wonderful meal, and it just feels bliss. Yeah, it's great.
Good holiday pictures to send out to people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it's very, very special. And we really loved Chops Grill too. You mentioned Chops Grill and Joy. Just so you know, last time Arthur and I talked, we were talking about Jameson. So we have similar tastes when it comes to our beverages. So
why am I not surprised? Men and their drinks.
Men with good taste.
Exactly.
So, did you have any other questions for him?
I do. I have one more. I have another question.
Okay.
Of the cruises you have been on, could you tell us about your favorite cruise?
I think our favorite cruise has to be our very first one that we did. It was funny how it came about. Me and my family, we just came back from Queensland. We did a theme park vacation with my family, and we come back, and my mother-in-law spotted an ad for a cruise for I think it was 1,100 Australian dollars. And they've done cruises in the past. They've done cruises in Europe and Australia, and they like it. It's easy for them, cost effective for them, and that was one of the things that drew us, because we were like, $1,100 for 10 nights on the South Pacific, and you know, when we broke it down, it was like, you know, just over $100 a day. And we were like, let's give this a go. And then I started looking up online about it and seeing all these different people who were doing it. I'm like, this might be really good. And then once I got on board, it was just like the best ever that we had. You know, we didn't have terrible weather. It was actually very calm weather over there. And that's another thing. That's why a lot of the cruise lines do the South Pacific, because it's very calm weather out there, rather to New Zealand, because New Zealand, depending on the time of the year, you have to cross the Tasman Sea, which is very treacherous at times. Our New Zealand cruise, when we were going from Sydney to Milford Sound, we had 5 meter waves for 2 days in a row.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, it was. A lot of people didn't like it, but we loved it. We were like, "Oh wow, you know, ships bobbing around, it's beautiful."
Yep.
Were people getting sick?
Yeah, people were getting sick, and you know, it was great because the cruise line was like, "Oh, here, have some apples," because apples actually help you stop getting seasick.
Really?
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah.
It works. People were eating apples to stop.
I have to remember
Apparently
that.
it worked.
Yeah. And you like apples.
And
Yeah.
I like
Nice.
apples.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, our first cruise to the South Pacific, where we got to see, you know, it was a tropical adventure as well.
Mhm.
So, you know, we got to see that beautiful tropical weather and, you know, all those wonderful beaches. Mystery Island is what I consider like your tropical getaway. It looks so beautiful. Like when you think of a tropical island, you think of Mystery Island and like your background, exactly like that. It is turquoise, beautiful water. The water heading over there is amazing. Like the color of the Pacific Ocean is so different to other oceans, and it's just amazing to go to it. You know, we had great fun. You know, we had great company. We met wonderful people, and it just hooked us. We're like, that's it. We're doing cruises from now on.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what happened to us.
Yeah.
We went on our first cruise and we loved everything about it.
yeah.
So did you say, Arthur? Did you say which cruise ship that was? Maybe I missed it.
Voyager of the Seas. We did Voyager of the Seas.
Is that
That
the
was
one
our first one.
Is
Sorry?
that from the videos on your YouTube channel? Is that from your first cruise?
Yes. Yes, there's some of Voyager of the Seas.
I've seen some of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was great. Like, you know, you get to a ship and it's got a mall inside the ship.
Yep.
And you're like, wow, like, you know, here I can go have, you know, a snack to eat and then head over to the pub across the road and have a drink and, you know, go do a bit of shopping and then, you know, or you hang around the promenade deck waiting for the shows to happen. You know, we had the King Julian show and Madagascar show, which was really good.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it was really good. You know, the food was great. Everything was awesome. And one thing Australians love about, well, American cruise ships is that they free pour their alcohol. So they don't measure it here in Australia. And a lot of people got quite tipsy quite quick because they weren't used to the strength of the alcohol. And I remember that one day I went and had went to the British type style pub there, and I had an Irish tea bomb or something like that, and it knocked my socks off because it had like so many different boozes in there. It was not funny. Like, you know, I was pretty tipsy afterwards.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Long Island tea.
Or isn't there an Irish car bomb?
I don't know about that.
I don't know. But yeah, there's...
Yeah, you had like Guinness, Jameson, a couple other ones in it. It was very mixture of all different Irish drinks.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, that sounds like an Irish car bomb. I think it's got Bailey's in it too, so it's got kind of cloudy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a strong one. That's a strong one. A good one, but a strong one. But yeah, that is awesome. And I know on a lot of cruises I've been on, they really push the you know, give you a special deal on a double, so you can get really happy and comfortable there real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because you're on a cruise.
Yes, you're on
Who cares?
vacation.
Exactly. And that's the best thing about it. You don't have to worry about drink driving or
Exactly.
you know doing something that one thing. All you have to do is just stumble to your
Stumble to your room.
And if anybody looks at you funny for stumbling, just say, "Wow, the ocean's kind of rough tonight." Yeah,
exactly. And that's why we did say that plenty of time. Although you
Yeah.
do get the occasional person knocking on your door at like 4 a.m. in the morning trying to get in. But
Yes. There is that. So yeah. So before we wrap up here, we wanted to ask you, we're familiar with your YouTube channel and your Instagram channel. We love the photography on your Instagram channel. We wanted to give you a chance to talk about that, or particularly, tell us what your plans are for your YouTube channel. I know lately you've obviously not been doing your Voyager of the Seas. You've been doing stuff. I'm sorry, I can't remember this. Mount Gambier or
Mount Gambier.
Yep.
Because of COVID, that's affected everybody. Travel hasn't been too conducive here in Australia. And I'll just give you a little tip for your viewers as well. When you guys come here to Australia, just be prepared that we've got very strict border controls. So, no fresh fruit, no stuff like that. I think that's pretty common. But Australia does take it very seriously because of our unique fauna and flora that we have here. So be prepared and make sure that you have everything lined up and ready to go. If you don't have anything lined up, they will not let you in. They are very, 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 very strict when it comes to border control and immigration.
Wow.
So just make sure you have all your T's crossed and dotted your I's. Make sure that you have everything in place. And that's the beauty thing about the cruise lines as well. The cruise lines actually adopt the Australian toughness when it comes to coming on and off the ship as well, and what you can and can't bring on. For instance, wood items. Australia's got a very strict policy on wood items. Unless they've been treated or sealed, you won't bring them into the country at all.
To prevent bugs.
Yes, because of the bugs and stuff like that. My channel was initially, I set my channel up initially as a cruise channel, and to give it from an Australian point of view. Because all the ones which I saw was like, oh, this is how I did this, or this is what I'm eating tonight. And, that's all well and good, but I wanted to show a little bit more of the ship and what we do. So that's what I started to do. And then obviously COVID hit, so we couldn't do any more cruises. Australia, the way that Australia has handled COVID has been very different to the rest of the world. So we don't let people come in or out. It's very unique here in Australia. We don't let, we're the only country, Western country, that doesn't allow its citizens to leave for recreational under the COVID.
Wow.
It's very, very, very strict. You can only go out on certain, not compassionate, but certain criteria. That's the only reason why.
They're very strict, it sounds like.
Yeah, and same with when it comes to the states. If there's a COVID outbreak, the states are not, they're very quick to shut their borders on the rest of the state.
Sure.
So, and that's the risk that we run. If we travel interstate, we have to be mindful that if an outbreak happens, we might have to rush home really quickly to avoid doing mandatory quarantine and stuff like that. Yeah. So once COVID came around, I've kind of changed it to let's have what we do around here in Adelaide in Australia. Our recent trip that we did was to Mount Gambier, which is in the southeast of our state. It's about a 5-hour drive to there. And it's a beautiful place. A lot of people say that it looks like Tasmania, which is an island off the south of Australia. And we did a road trip to Tasmania as well. So check those vlog out. The latest one's in Mount Gambier. It's a beautiful, certain times of the year. There's a lake which is in an extinct volcano, and it turns cobalt blue.
Oh, so pretty.
Yeah, it's very pretty. And it's just a beautiful place to visit. There's so much to see from the Tantanoola Caves, which is just an amazing cave which has lots of stalagmite and dolomite and all those type of geological features. I think it's one of the biggest ones in the southern hemisphere. It's probably around about 30 meters wide, 30 meters long by about 8 meters wide, and I think 6 or 8 meters high.
Mhm.
So it's a fairly big cave. And there's so much to do down there, from beautiful steaks. We had a great steak at the Barn House, and wines and stuff like that. And even here in Adelaide, Adelaide is a unique kind of little city where 30 minutes you're in the hills and you're in beautiful wine country. Or you go north and really experience some great wine producers who are well renowned, like Penfolds and Jacobs Creek, and down south in McLaren Vale as well. There's so much to do here in Adelaide as well, and I'll be bringing some more of that type of stuff to do. I'm going to be putting together like spots to see in Adelaide. So if you ever come here on a cruise, you can go and visit these different spots. We've got this wonderful, awesome. Hopefully it will turn out really well. We've got this wonderful stadium called Adelaide Oval. Parts of it's heritage listed, so it's probably about over 100 years old, and they've built a modern stadium around it, and it hosts AFL football, which is Australian League football. Not like your American gridiron. It's a little bit more tougher. We take a few knocks around, and we don't wear padding and stuff like that. It hosts the national sport AFL. I want to do something like that. We've got so many beautiful things here in Adelaide to show around. So I'm going to be bringing a series together of different places around Adelaide to go and visit.
I'm excited to see it.
Once I get it all filmed and edited out, it should look really good. But for the moment, until we can start traveling internationally, or doing cruises again, it will be the travel type vlogs that we're doing at the moment. So, and the cruising ones as well.
Hopefully by August. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But it's great that you've got other content that people can watch. So we want to remind everybody watching to check out Arthur's Cruises, the YouTube channel, and the links down below, and also check out his beautiful photography on his Instagram. That's Arthur's_cruises_in_travel. Yep, Instagram makes it tricky, but Arthur's Cruises and Travel, that link is down below too. And Arthur, we want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us and share all this great information about Australian cruises. And it's been fun talking to you again and getting to know you a little better. It's great to talk to other people in the cruise vlogging community.
I'm excited to go to Australia.
Same here. We're excited to head to the US. I mean, our dream is to do a Trans-Pacific cruise, and then tour the US, and then do a cruise from the US. We would love to do a Disney cruise, which you guys have done. That's our ultimate one. But whether or not we can afford to do, because we want to do a Disney cruise and then do an Oasis class cruise.
So
that's what we want to do. But thank you for having me here, and it's great to meet fellow YouTubers and fellow cruising enthusiasts from around the world. We all got the same thing in common. We love to cruise, and we love to talk about it. And that's why we're here on YouTube, to talk about how wonderful cruising is. So
absolutely,
thank you for having me, and make sure you click and subscribe and hit that notification bell to get everything.
All right.
It was so much fun.
Yes, we had a great time. For those of you who may not have heard our very quick intro at the beginning, we had to record that earlier because of the time difference between Adelaide and here. And we had a great time talking to him. I've got a couple chances to talk to him, and it's always fun talking to Arthur. And if you haven't checked out his channel, be sure to check it out. I do think we should say hi to some people who showed up while we were showing the pre-recorded interview segment. We gotta give a shout out to Chad Cruisers, our friends to the north. It's great to see you here. Also, No Maps Needed Travel. thank you for joining us. It means a lot when fellow creators show up and visit our channel for a live or whatever.
Yeah.
And also, we need to say hi to Eric B. is here. Travel
Hey,
Adventures
Eric
with
B.
Eric B. So we want to thank all of you for showing up and stopping by. And as I mentioned very quickly in the beginning, we are going to be doing another live in 2 weeks. Until cruising starts again. We're probably not going to do it every week, but in 2 weeks we're going to do another one. We're going to talk about the Bahamas, cruising to Nassau, whether to get off the ship or not, and we're going to talk specifically, I think, about Carnival Liberty, one of the ships we're taking to Nassau. And coming up this Sunday, we have an episode about cruise snacks.
Yay!
Cruise food,
snacks.
one of our favorite things to talk about. This time we're talking specifically about cruise snacks. Thanks everybody showing up. AJ's Love for Life, we got to give you a shout out for showing up for our first 3 live episodes.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
And we, again, want to give a big shout out to Arthur from Arthur's Cruises for being our first interviewee, our first guest.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Mhm.
We appreciate everybody joining us to watch, and we look forward to seeing you again here in the near future. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Bye.